Welcome to this episode of the Lifeguard Project Podcast, where I interview David Rodriguez. David is one of the early founders of Watchtower, a digital command center for lifeguards. Watchtower is a mobile platform that's tailored to every agency's needs as far as rescues, data, end-of-year reports, and a lot of other techie kind of stuff. We won't get into the details here. I'll let David do the explaining in this episode. However, if you haven't seen Watchtower or heard about it, it's definitely coming down the line. Today, we talk about David's career and how the idea got started. And we also talk about where the future of technology in lifeguarding could put us. Hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks as always for listening. All right, David, welcome officially to the Lifeguard Project Podcast.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Live. Thanks for taking the time and heading down and spending a little time for a conversation about lifeguards and such. So give me just, let's start off with a little intro on yourself and where you got started, where you grew up, where you got started lifeguarding, that kind of thing. Just a once over for people to know.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Great to finally meet you in person. Excited to
Likewise.
be there and chat with you today. Dave Rodriguez. I grew up kind of moving all around the world, actually. I was a military kid.
Mm-hmm.
Home base is San Diego, and that's where most of my family is now. Moved up to Huntington Beach in 2016 time, started lifeguarding for the city of Huntington Beach. In one of those summers, I think it's 2016. We'll go with that. And did that for 4 summers. Kind of worked my way through the ranks there over those few summers. Saw the opportunity to kind of see most of the operation, not all of it, which is really exciting. And then in 2019, the Huntington Beach Fire Department did an internal hiring process and was able to fortunately pass that test and move over to the fire suppression side. So been there for coming up on 6 years on the fire side. So all in all, about roughly 10 years with the city of Huntington Beach in their fire department, marine safety over to the fire suppression side. So
Nice.
And then Watchtower, for about 6 years now, we've been working on the Watchtower project.
Cool. And so how did that what was the first inkling of that coming about? How did that start?
Yeah, so it was 2018 in the fall. So I remember working the north side of Huntington Beach. I believe I was in Tower 4 that day, actually. And was just talking to a couple of the other lifeguards. I think for that day, I remember having maybe a stack of 10 field reports. And the field reports were something that we had to turn in every single day. And basically not just to show the work that we did for the day, but also it was part of our job, right, to get those statistics done. And so we'd either give them to an area supervisor or turn them in at the end of the day. But I remember going back to each day to headquarters, and you'd have to do another maybe half an hour of work on top of that. So it'd be filling them out completely right. If you had a few stingrays, you might finish those reports later in the evening or something like that. And so I remember talking to a buddy or two that day and said, which kind of asked the question, why don't we have something digital that we can use or something faster? This seems tedious. It would take anywhere from, let's say, 10 minutes to 30 minutes to do those reports each day. And then I remember seeing a couple volunteers come and go through our file cabinets of all these field reports and have to get each individual statistic from these reports, whether that be 15 fields or so, and all the kind of the medical forms. And they'd have to input that into a computer with our full-time staff. So that would take, weeks upon months to get the actual data.
These were volunteers from where?
I think the city. I remember these nice old ladies would come in and would help basically count. I think they maybe just the numbers from the cards, and then the officers would help them input that into a computer system. I think it was mostly Excel at that time. And so I saw that with all the reports that we had to do during the day, and just kind of asked the question. And I asked the question to the right guy at the time who had a buddy who worked in tech. And that's where kind of the idea was birthed, was, hey, we have a problem here. These guys do a lot of great work. Guys and girls do so much great work on the beach, and we can't even see all that data for months. So that's where it was kind of born initially.
And I think any lifeguard can resonate with what you just said.
Sure.
It's unique to, I think, any other profession, right? You're in a lifeguard tower, you're soaking wet, you're doing rescues all day. The last thing you can do is physically write on a piece of paper.
Totally.
You're soaking wet, you're trying to watch the water, your attention is brought down in a way in that profession more than any other. You don't have a partner with you there that can do something while you're on scene, right? Like you would with the fire service or EMS, right? You have a partner that can maybe document stuff for you while you're going or whatever. The mechanical version of using pen and paper to document stuff in a lifeguard capacity or that environment is just not, it's subpar at best.
Totally.
Right.
100%.
And I think every lifeguard can resonate with just that. Oh, how many rescue? Like, I didn't even have time to document that stuff because you can't take your attention away.
Mm-mm.
You don't have time to keep up with the stats. Right. So yeah, right on. And then how did you guys connect to start really, like, when did it become serious where you guys were like, oh yeah, we're making this happen?
So 2018, we were able to kind of get together, and it wasn't until probably a year to year and a half later where we actually started to gain maybe even a little bit of traction that would help us or help propel us forward to see, hey, this is real. So honestly, probably up to even 2 years. So in that time frame from 2018 to 2020 was really when we started talking to maybe just 2 or 3 agencies in the West Coast and the United States combined. And so during that time, we were able to get, let's say, a version 1 down. And that was maybe tested, like I said, by 2 or 3 agencies in the off seasons, just to see if this is something that would be real. And so a couple of years of hills and valleys, and is this going to work? Is this not going to work? The guys I was working with at the time on the project and who are still working on the project all had other jobs as well at the same time or focused on other things. And so to see if this could be real, not only to be a good idea for lifeguards, but also sustainable for the guys working on it, was all these questions came about. And so fortunately worked with awesome guys that still do, and we stuck with it. So all in all, probably a couple of years to really get off the ground, even getting to one agency to start testing with us.
Thanks for making it this far into the podcast. I just want to remind you guys as you're listening that the Ben Carlson Memorial Paddle is coming up, and it is a fundraising event. This year specifically, I've made a challenge through the Lifeguard Project for lifeguards to donate just $5 through the Lifeguard Project on the Mighty Cause website. You'll have the link below in the episode, and if you click, I just want to see how many lifeguards we can get to donate $5, basically the equivalent of a morning coffee, and see how much we can raise. So whether you're a lifeguard in Australia, New Zealand, the US, East Coast, West Coast, the goal is that you look at this link, send it to another lifeguard, and encourage them to donate $5. So please and thank you, check the link, donate $5, send it to another lifeguard, and let's see how much money we can raise together by just dropping in $5. And thank you so much. Besides that moment, any other projects simultaneous with these other partners and all the stuff that were kind of inspiring this to happen, that they said yes to it? Or
not totally. Yeah, not at the time. Like I said, it was pretty much the initial problem kind of came from the field report and gathering that really the quantitative data, the numbers, to add those numbers in. And that was like the single problem. So the platform has grown a ton since that initial, you could say, product feature or a module, we call it. Mm-hmm. And we've grown to maybe, a dozen modules on our platform. But at that time, like I said, a couple of the guys are either working in the lifeguard profession or as tech guys in other companies. And so for us to really marry up and make this a thing, we kind of had to focus solely on it and sort of later on, after a couple of years, right, grow the team and more guys have focused on it now as a full-time thing. But no other real projects at that time other than that one problem we all noticed was a problem. And
you saw it valuable enough to approach.
Value enough to approach and get the guy who is amazing. His name's Trevor. He develops and really runs Watchtower behind the scenes and is amazing. So he, with the help of Lifeguards, which has made it really special, brought the platform to where it is today, along with all the other work that the team has done around him. But it's been pretty awesome to see.
Give me the once over to someone who's never used it, let's say, of module 1 to where we are today. Rough, progress, what it started out as, what it looks like if they're tapping on it and stuff.
Sure.
And, we'll put the links and everything in the podcast or whatever, but just give me the once over basics. inception to now, technology platform wise, what you guys went through.
Okay. Yeah. So what we called in our version 1, we would have been targeting what we call submitting incidents or incident submission. That was our first idea or module, because that's what we were doing. We were submitting incidents right on those field cards. And so in that version, the software was completely different. The platform in itself was similar to what it is today in terms of how it looks. But in that version 1, we were solely targeting incident submissions. That was the target idea. That was the problem we saw and we're having ourselves because we were on the beach doing that work.
And expand on incident submission, meaning rescue, medical aid, like lost and found child, like what, anything else anything basically that would be a stat or a data point.
Yes. Anything that was a stat or data point. We used field reports in Huntington Beach, but a lot of other agencies had different forms they'd use. But what we learned initially and continue to learn after that was there was sort of a standard out there for data submission and what lifeguards were gathering. Some agencies wanted to do things a little bit differently or gather slightly different fields or quantitative things. But we actually looked at what the USLA wanted. And we're fortunate to start really working with the USLA to make that streamline from point A all the way to the USLA for agencies and the USLA to gather and visualize themselves. So that kind of became a project for us as well. But yeah, quantitative things, anywhere from your rescues, your prevents, your medical aids, contacts, enforcements, those sort of general categories that every lifeguard we found had to submit at the end of the year. That's sort of what we focused on. And then over time, we learned, hey, this agency wants to record this, or this agency has a different geographic setting. So they may not need to have a cliff rescue here, but this one does, or this one has jetty. So kind of tuning it to the needs of the agency is what we needed to do as well, without making it so chaotic where every agency could use it, but mold it to their needs a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're talking about quantifying and corralling a completely diverse set of environments. It's not, I show up to a house call as a paramedic. This person has chest pain. I click the box. I have my, questions every medic's going to ask for that and the vital signs and whatever. It's, well, what's a rescue? Is it if I was waist deep and the kid was drowning waist deep?
Yeah.
Or if I was 100 yards out and the person was kind of floating, but I had to swim. If I'm going around a jetty, like you said, jetty, cliff, whatever other, well, I don't need the cliff rescue button, right? You're talking like a vast difference between all of the beaches, just let's say in this little stretch here in Southern California, let alone including East Coast, including further north in California, whatever it is, right? Yeah. So that must have been a bit of a challenge in the back end of what you guys had to, did you have to adapt it to each agency to be unique, or how did that part start to expand?
Yeah, sort of. And to kind of, and I don't think I fully answered your previous question.
And I'm interrupting.
No, that's on me too. I was going on a spiel there, but to where it's gotten today, from incident submissions, simply kind of a big button swift tap, that's what we call it, as a digital command center for marine safety and aquatics personnel now. Going from that one incident, that was our very first module, we call them, until to today, we have probably a dozen or so modules that help agencies not only submit data, but do everything in their operation to streamline that operational efficiency. So it was difficult, but we got into a good rhythm of tailoring requests to our developer, and also being reasonable with lifeguards, to not make promises to them where we couldn't do it right, but also make something that was of quality, that it was very high quality, very easy to use, and we, like I said, we didn't want to create something that if we have 100 agencies who are slightly different in a lot of ways, although they're doing the same job of helping people and rescuing people and watching the water and doing what they're doing on a day-to-day basis and helping people. But they do things a little bit different across the country, even here in Southern California, for example. So we had to really, from what we discuss in our meetings with each specific agency, and to what we talk to with our developer and developers, kind of be conscientious of that and those changes to get to where we are today, which is a platform that I think you could call it dynamic or malleable, if you want to use that word too. So it can be kind of used. You can maybe shut off a few features if you're maybe an agency who doesn't need some of these, or use the entire robust platform if you're maybe a larger agency or want to use all the features. So,
and I want to intuit that it probably also brought up a lot of problems in seeing, well, who calls what a rescue, who calls what a medical aid. Is a stinger, like, for example, like in Northern California, you get stung by a stingray where it's in the further edges of where stingrays exist. Mm-hmm. It's a 911 call, right? Like someone is calling 911. There's a full response. If I work a shift in San Diego, we'll treat 50 stingrays in one day.
Right. 100%.
We're not calling 911. So it's not a stat in that form. And so it's maybe a minor medical aid we call it. So like simultaneously, if you're tailoring to these agencies what they need, it feels like you also have to bring up, hey, well, what is our standardized version of what lifeguards need to document, like you said, with the USLA or with, let's call it like county, like Center of Disease Control, county health, what do they qualify as a thing? And that's almost an untapped version of what a bigger lifeguard issue is, right? Is like, actually, what parameters do we need to share and what that, so did you guys experience anything like that where you're like, oh, well, hey, you guys should technically be doing this too, and we're going to implement this button now or whatever into every platform and we can update everyone across the board? How does that?
Yeah.
Touch on that a little bit, I guess.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
100%. We have agencies across the country that do things a little bit differently, but in the process of learning how every agency does something a little bit differently, we did need to come to a common ground for those very same reasons, to sort of have industry standard, best practice. And if you go onto the USLA website, in discussion with lifeguards across the country, we're able to sort of standardize or follow those guidelines from those, you could say, decision makers across the country who do such a wonderful job at trying to have everyone be on the same page for those types of things. So let's say there's a dozen USLA statistics that they want submitted at the end of the year. Well, it was on us, right, to educate or help educate agencies across the country for what maybe those standards were or are. And again, not force agencies to do something they don't want to do, but also just present them with the ability to maybe record those things and just to share what other lifeguards across the country are doing so that, you get better data from everywhere. And it's a more streamlined process, like I was kind of mentioning, from agencies to record all this really important data and all the hard work they do on a day-to-day basis and get them to get to the point of being comfortably submitting that stuff to the USLA. So it's kind of working with a few different entities. And like you said, trying to be helpful with what other people are doing and just share that with them. So it's come to a great place of kind of setting those standards. Hey, here's what we see other people or most people gathering, although you may not have a jetty or pier here. Most people are doing these, or most people are going on rescues, prevents, or doing contacts or enforcements. These are the things we all do. Like you said, you may not have stingrays here, or they may not have this here. Some allow dogs, some don't, but or have different rules and regulations. But overall, we did try to have those top level statistics kind of be uniform.
Could you use some examples of what you guys found kind of as because it is kind of a mutual relationship of all these different lifeguard agencies. I mean, there's these different silos of stuff, but more or less the job we affect is the same. And you're kind of in this overarching entity that shows up and goes, well, we've seen it in these 5 places and this was working, and you don't want to overstep any boundaries and stuff, but could you use some objective examples of stuff that maybe got brought up or feedback you got from other agencies that was like, oh yeah, we should start doing that, or oh, that doesn't really work for us, or anything along those lines as far as physical parameters on the platform?
In terms of gathering specific data sets?
Okay. Ideas about how they documented, let's say, a rescue, or hey, everyone else is documenting, like you said, dog contacts. You guys weren't doing it here up until this point. Like maybe think about, do you want us to add that button? Like how did that feedback and back and forth go? And are there any objective kind of pieces that you guys learned about in that time?
Yeah, we did. We learned a ton. And there were what we would say are city regulations, rules and regulations that each city or county or jurisdiction had. And that could be something as simple as a dog on a pier in Huntington where you're not allowed to have dogs or ride your bike on the pier. And that's something maybe very specific to that city even. I know e-bikes has been a big thing, a big discussion of late. So that'd be another great example. Some cities maybe allow that, some or maybe have more of a stricter policy on that. So there's kind of that side of it, which lifeguards would be gathering on the platform as well. And so that's something that, we at Watchtower, we definitely can't say anything to the nature of, hey, you shouldn't be recording a dog contacting the pier. But like I was saying, going on maybe ride-alongs with every beach or sitting in their dispatch for an hour or two in a really busy day, just to really learn for how they do things was super helpful to us. So maybe an agency would gather those stats while they'd be driving around, or maybe they wanted to do it at the end of the day. That's also the platform was also tailored for that as well. So trying to set an industry standard or best practice, learning what different rules and regulations were for every city, every jurisdiction that we are involved with now. Those are kind of different avenues. So we had to basically kind of create what we would say, hey, here's what you should or is highly encouraged to gather based on the USLA standard, or what the standards are for maybe that state. Even like a New Jersey, for example, might gather completely different data than California for 95% of what they do on their platform, but that 5% they do share in common with California for, like I said, those higher level statistics.
And this might be a little bit out of order because as far as the questions, but it brings up the point of the standardization aspect and data. Where does that sit with what, let's say, the World Drowning Conference or the CDC or the public health agencies? Because as a paramedic, you have your platform has the minimum data set that you like. There's buttons that like don't unclick red until you fill that out because you need that legally for statistics for the greater like public health, right?
Yeah.
Entities. Where did you guys find yourself fitting in? If so, on that front, because it's kind of, to my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, with lifeguards, we don't really have so much, and it's even just drowning data sets, let's use that as an example, are still developing as to how, when we document drowning, even just the definition of drowning, right, within the last 5 years when you guys started has changed to try to standardize how we approach these things. Someone exits the water, they're coughing.
Yeah.
Technically that could be a drowning, non-fatal, right? So talk to me about that. So you're tailoring to each agency. You're providing them with a general kind of 30,000 foot view. Well, here's the standard best practices.
Yeah.
That tertiary level of, well, here's what we can provide to the public health people and the like world health stuff. Like, talk to me about where that fits in, if it does.
Yeah. So from our perspective, the entity that I've mentioned now a few times, the group is the USLA, which is kind of the standard we have tried to help install. But like you said, besides that, it's now up to individual agencies to make that decision. Maybe there are agencies that aren't even USLA certified, but above them, like you said, it's actually their data. So everything they gather, they own, right? So we assist them in providing that data to the USLA, or just providing an on-ramp for that, really. But it is on the agencies, one, to decide what they want to gather from that perspective, and two, we're really just there to assist with the streamlining of that process, not so much making people do anything. And so that, trying to navigate that as well has been definitely something we've encountered. And so that's a great point you bring up drowning. I mean, now we're starting to look into the aquatic side of things as well. So not just marine safety, but aquatics, where most drownings occur, if I'm not mistaken, with young children across the United States, because there's pools and lakes everywhere as opposed to oceans. And so it'll be interesting to see how that data is being gathered as we maybe start to look at pools and how that works. So I think that will be something we deal with more if we start to get more involved with lifeguards in Stillwater or pools as well. So right now, you have that the levels of the cities or the jurisdictions or the counties And then you kind of have the USLA or maybe the CSLA or state agencies, right? New Jersey may require their lifeguards to turn in training, for example, or the state of Hawaii may do something similar.
Yeah.
California may not need that necessarily. The state might not. So there's those levels kind of above each state where we'll have to develop some sort of way that they can record that in a streamlined way, just like we do with the quantitative data. So every state is different. And then you have NOAA, right, who would call us, right, and get weather. So we'd assist NOAA with weather. But in terms of like drowning and much higher level than that, you know, that's something we're maybe just exploring now, or agencies are maybe helping us with. But I know there's awesome people like Will Kuhn and other people in other parts of the world who are really focused on that. And it's been wonderful to work with these people to learn from each other as well.
Yeah. And I guess it makes sense. And this is we're just at this stage of the spectrum. It's fairly new too. I mean, all things considered from when you guys got started, right?
Definitely.
Like it's not,
Definitely.
but I see everyone's, much like what the example I always use is with a photo I take or a concept or something or a conversation like this. Who needs to listen to the podcast? If they find the conversation valuable, they're going to send it to someone else. Well, what's happening with Watchtower, what I've seen, at least in my experience of 15 years of lifeguarding, like we were doing the cards. Then a couple different things came out. We tried them and trialed them. Then a lot of people are starting to use Watchtower. And I'm not getting like paid by you guys to say that. I don't belong to any entity. It's just me doing the project. But if the thing works, then people, especially lifeguards, if it works in our environment, which is always notoriously hard to put your hands around,
No doubt.
then it's gonna work. And I'm seeing that continuing with Watchtower. So I guess that's maybe the next step is like what I see as you guys expanding to. Yeah, we don't know what additional parameters we might need right now, or if the other agencies are gathering. But if they're all using Watchtower and you can go, hey guys, we're going to include this new feature. I mean, you could technically just like update all the stuff and go, hey, this is available now. And we can now show really good data. Hey, we're requiring you to do these 3 parameters for every whatever water rescue. It's 2 extra buttons and it'll open up more buttons if you need to, but it's going to get us the first ever, and I'm using this as an example, high-end data set for drowning calls.
Yeah.
Which could be like a huge thing, right? Is that something that you guys would be able to implement, or is that a direction you're heading? Or talk to me about like that kind of idea.
Yeah. Well, in terms of implementing new features, it's been super awesome to meet people across the country, meet lifeguards when I was lifeguarding and first responders. It's getting able to meet people and where they're at and learn the different nuances of every operation is amazing. The lifeguards, like we said, have helped us build the platform to where it is today. So it's kind of for lifeguards by lifeguards, which is really special, I think. And so, yeah, you said something really particular. It is a cloud-based software. And so when we do push the refresh button or we're using the platform, you will get the most updated platform, which is really nice, there's a little bit difference there with like an Apple or an app versus a software solution. And so, yeah, the goal would be to continue to have the platform grow. And it has grown because of the hard work of lifeguards who will call us up or email us and say, hey, this isn't working correctly, or hey, what about this? And so that's been pretty awesome. And it would be wonderful to do the same thing in the pool environment. And a lot of places have lifeguards who maybe work in both areas, in Stillwater and at the beach. But it's been cool to see that style of operation use the platform as well, and maybe a little bit different way. But yeah, we're just talking about incident submission. There's like a dozen other pretty awesome things that the platform does that are super powerful and above all easy to use, because we didn't want something that would be a distraction to tower guards if they want to use it in the tower. Not many do, obviously, but yeah, you put in a hard day's work and the last thing you want to do is go sit half an hour and type something up or write something down. So you can record things in real time. You can have a dispatcher record things. You can have your supervisor record things for you. You can do things at the end of the day, which will take about 30 seconds. So, so trying to get it to that point where everyone's using it in a slightly different way for the greater good. And now maybe trying to expand a little bit to similar operations is definitely a goal of ours.
Thanks for making it this far into the podcast. I just want to remind you guys as you're listening that the Ben Carlson Memorial Paddle is coming up, and it is a fundraising event. This year specifically, I've made a challenge through the Lifeguard Project for lifeguards to donate just $5 through the Lifeguard Project on the Mighty Cause website. You'll have the link below in the episode, and if you click, I just want to see how many lifeguards we can get to donate $5, basically the equivalent of a morning coffee, and see how much we can raise. So whether you're a lifeguard in Australia, New Zealand, the US, East Coast, West Coast, the goal is that you look at this link, send it to another lifeguard, and encourage them to donate $5. So please and thank you, check the link, donate $5, send it to another lifeguard, and let's see how much money we can raise together by just dropping in $5. And thank you so much. And are there some specific data sets? So each agency owns their own data set, something I'm learning right now, but you guys have access to check in, right? You're integrating stuff for them and constantly updating and whatever. Are you guys using or able to use their data for stuff as well? Or is it just, hey, we gave you the platform, you have this streamlined process, here's your stuff, we're not touching it? Where does that kind of...
Yeah, their data is definitely their own.
Their ownership by contract or whatever.
Yeah. In order to be SOC 2 and the HIPAA compliance, that's a piece of it. But it definitely is all their data. So we've just helped them not only gather that data, store that data, but also share that hard work through now different avenues, the public safety dashboard or Safe Beach Day, or through beautiful reports that they can, with one click of a button, share with a city council or their bosses or decision makers to then go and make decisions on budget, or hopefully help these teams get the resources they need. And so from that point, we just help them visualize that data and help maybe empower them. But it is definitely their own data. Yeah, we don't own any of the data. We don't do anything with it. We just try to hopefully help them improve their operation.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. And have these agencies shared with you stuff that's improved that they've seen that once they start implementing? I can speak for certain places that I've heard. It's like once they started using it, it was more intuitive. They go, oh man, we didn't know we had X amount of this or X amount of that. Like we didn't actually have that parameter before and we never documented it well. Right. Or tower guards get lazy. Some of them wouldn't do the cards, right? Things get lost, right? Or the papers get dropped, they get wet, whatever, right? In the aquatic environment, it's hard. Are there any data sets or things that agencies have shared with you or that you've seen that they were surprised with, or going, hey, man, check this out, we didn't even know this happened, or stuff along those lines?
Yeah, off the top of my head, just thinking of Huntington Beach, they were able to gain a whole new division because of the not solely because of Watchtower, not at all, but I think they were able to maybe see some of the data perhaps in a different way, and maybe gain a different division because of all the hard work they were doing, and show that, hey, there are incidents that occur back in these harbors, and there are people who go enjoy the harbors, and it's I think in their best interest and our best interest to hopefully help protect these visitors and citizens in that area, and we're able to gain more resources in that area. So that's something right off the top of my head that hopefully with that quick gathering of that data, they were able to staff those areas now, which is pretty cool. And so some other agencies have had similar circumstances where they've been able to really now visualize the data in real time through these hotspots or heat maps, not just seeing the numbers, and get adequate resources to help do their jobs better, right, and protect lives. So that's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and I love that part of it, right? That heat map, or the ability to like submit a report, whatever terminology you want to use, but right, it puts it together where you physically have hotspots on the beach based on what's going on, whether that's stingrays or rescues or whatever it is, right? Hazards and stuff. But you also mentioned Beach Day, and I want a Safe Beach Day, and I also want to make sure we plug that in too, because it's not just that the lifeguards, it's making it easier for the lifeguards to see, but talk to me about that, where the public can actually now, through the app, right, like through the program, have an ability to see, 50 stingray patients at tower or whatever, maybe we should go over one tower or something, right? And
Yeah.
forgive me if I'm butchering that,
Nope,
but
not
just
at all.
talk about that side of it as well.
Yeah. Our mission, part of our mission is to make that that critical safety information accessible not only to the lifeguards but to the public as well. And so you have on the platform side, you have a reporting feature which will show the team in real time through heat maps, through charts and graphs that are really easy to access and make in real time. So you have the lifeguards able to see that on their side. But then we have what we call Safe Beach Day or a safety dashboard, which the public can access. And so through the hard work and all the statistics and all the submissions the lifeguards make on the platform, that will directly affect their Safe Beach Day website for that specific beach. And so with things like QR codes on the back of towers or entrances, everyone has a phone now, so you can quickly access the live beach safety information of that specific beach using Watchtower in real time, which is pretty great. And so just like you mentioned, every agency may use it slightly different. However, the general map will give rules and regulations, open and close towers. It will give a risk rating to a specific tower as well based on an algorithm. So wave height, wave strength, maybe rip current strength. And then, here in Southern California, especially, we have lots of stingrays. And so an icon will pop up on the screen if there's more stingrays at a given tower for more, two over an hour, I believe. Some places have it less or more. Some don't have stingrays, but we wanted to make sure that the public, the millions of people who go to the beach can see, not only be protected, but also visualize and see, hey, I feel safe here. This is a really awesome place for us to go as a family. Maybe it's a first time beachgoer, and just to feel safe with the hardworking men and women on the beach.
Well, and not just that, is there another platform that you are aware of that does something that's in such real time that the public can also access?
There are some beach safety websites out there.
But are they tied to the physical things that lifeguards are inputting in real time?
Yeah, I know across the world in New Zealand, Australia, there's some similar software out there. It may not be directly like Watchtower, but it's very similar. And I don't know the exact names of some of them, but there are some other softwares out there that do something similar. I don't know if they're fully ingrained with our style of platform in terms of lifeguards inputting, lifeguards controlling the actual Safe Beach Day website, because that's what makes it pretty unique and cool is that those who are out there all day, every day, get to interact with that platform. And so, there are some other platforms like that. I know Hawaii had one as well. And it's been cool to learn from those websites and work with those people as well. So
I just think it's so cool to hear that in a few years, we've gone from wet cards, physical cards, wet paper, like pen and paper in the tower at the end of the day, to a stack of stuff that someone has to go through, to immediate accessible safety response from what lifeguards just inputted to families that are showing up to the beach. I mean, that's insane, right?
It's awesome.
And it's cool that is, it's such a unique thing. Even if there's other people that are doing it in some way, the fact that it's here and that people are using it, that is a direct actionable impact that puts lifeguards back into the game with technology and being able to provide that extra safety, let alone, you run one call at a time on a fire engine or an ambulance. Like if you're doing the call, no one else is going to call you for anything else, right? You're dedicated to that call, and the next unit gets the next call in the city, right? That's how it works.
Yep.
And you swap all that around, and sure, there's nuances to that. But lifeguarding, if you're the guy guy or girl in the tower, you're in charge of 1,000 people, and they just keep coming, refreshing every time, right? New people park, new people leave, and it's like you are just rinsing and repeating these safety messages, things. It wears you out during the day. So if you can be like, hey, scan this QR code on the back of my tower. Hey, did you know about Safe Beach Day? Why don't you check out? Because I've been having a bunch of rescues, and the mom or dad can go click, click. Oh my God, this tower guard just did, 80 rescues here. Oh my God, like what's going on? Well, there's a rip current here, and you can have do you guys have safety messages attached to those things too? that the lifeguards can implement, right? They can throw stuff up, type it in, and it'll pop up on the app, right?
It will, yeah. So at the top of the screen, the lifeguards can put essentially a message to the public. There's even a further step in some areas of the country, like the East Coast. People will subscribe to safety messages. So not only will you see that on the website, but you'll get a text, for example, of
through Watchtower,
through Watchtower,
or through.
It's
how does that work?
So yeah, you can subscribe to the service, and let's say a lifeguard has that service through Watchtower. You're able to actually get a text sent to that person, if that makes sense. So it's like a subscription, but
that's paid for by the public, or how does that?
The agency will pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So no,
through Watchtower,
it's free to the public. Yeah, it's free to the public. And so some agencies use that. However, most agencies will stick with Safe Beach Day. And so, like you mentioned, you can get real updated information, and it is updated. So towers will change colors in real time. The lifeguards will go in there and do a change of the whole beach. Let's say there's a lightning closure. It'll show the whole beach is shut down. There'll be a daily message on the right-hand side as well, where they can put videos, safety videos about stingrays or rip currents, or where to find first aid, or where to go if you get lost, things like that. So pretty cool area for someone who, like I said, even if I always go to the beach, or I've never been to the beach, I'd still like to see that information, especially if it's I have my family with me for the day, or whatever it may be. I think of it like the surf line for beachgoers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they aren't checking the actual wave conditions.
Right.
They're checking the sand conditions.
Yeah, where to park, what are the rules and regs here? Can I have my dog here? Are there bonfires here? Oh, is it going to be safe to swim here, or move 100 feet that way away from the pier?
Yeah.
So it's been pretty cool to see that concept work its way to where it is now.
And I'm digressing a little bit from Watchtower here, but
Yeah.
ideas I've had through the project as far as making a program of delivering safety messages, but that are more targeted and also hold people more accountable, but maybe also even incentivized. Because it's cool if they have that access, but if the person doesn't know, they need to download Safe Beach Day or whatever other subscription thing that it is, they're not going to see it, right? So that the public member, maybe you can now put a QR code on the tower, but we all know as lifeguards that not everyone's going by the tower or asking us where the conditions are, or even reading the sign, right?
Totally.
An idea that I had, and without going too far off topic, but maybe it's something to pick your brain about as well, is implementing a safety message, a really good, professional, powerful video that really teaches you about whatever subject you want that's a hazard.
Yeah.
And then delivering some kind of accountability to the person where, hey, okay, scan the QR code, I get the link, or maybe it's through Watchtower. I click and put in my info as the public member and a couple parameters. Once again, you're building data sets for who's visiting your beach, what kind of stuff. Boom, here's your free parking pass for the day. Boom, here's your $5 off at the hoagie sandwich place, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Boom, free slice of pizza for you and the whole family.
Yeah.
And you get other, not just businesses, but cities and counties to get involved in that. Now you hold accountable that person to physically watch and secure that safety message. And we all know people can probably find another way around that, but just more so getting it out there where if that person goes, oh, I got to download, I'm the same way, right? Oh, you need me to download an app just to order this latte at the coffee shop? I would rather go just give someone cash down the street, or make it user-friendly, make it accessible, but also make it incentivized to where oh, I just watched that rip current video and I actually learned from it, instead of just another message where just arrows pointing at something and, okay, I kind of read about it. I'm hot and sweaty from being inland all day and I want to be at the beach now.
Yeah.
Throw my stuff straight in the first spot I find because I just want to jump in the water, right? Wait, did you know you guys get free parking if you watch this 2-minute safety video? Oh yeah, it's on this app, this program we use called Watchtower. Oh, free parking? Yeah, you get reimbursed, or it'll give you a thing.
Yeah.
And I digress a little bit there, but talk to me about because I feel like we're almost 80% of the way there with integrating that and making accessible, where it could almost be another step where the public goes, oh yeah, if I download that, I get free parking at the beach, or I get this, or I get that. And all you got to do is watch this video. Now you're incentivizing and holding accountable the people for this safety stuff as it pops up. And it could be that day there's 50 stingrays on Tower 4 or whatever. So, hey guys, let's put the link to the stingray safety message today. Hey, let's put the link to the rip current safety message today. Hey, whatever else, right? Heat wave. Let's put heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
Talk to me about where you guys sit with maybe integrating safety messages above just where it stands now, or maybe something that's you're thinking about or haven't thought about, or if it's even applicable for what like your guys' purpose is.
No, definitely. We've explored doing things to make this information more accessible to the public. So whether that be trying to put our QR code on more towers or more entrances. But yeah, like you said, the idea of having the public not get something out of it, but be like an incentive there, right? Because that truly, that's a great idea. And ultimately we just want this information to be accessible to people. But then each agency, each city might have different rules and regs on something like marketing or something like that. Although I do think it's a really great idea, and it's in their best interest to do stuff like that as well for different reasons. Mm-hmm. But no, I think it's a great idea. I mean, we've done things like on our website, you can get little certificates for learning about stingrays or so like little educational things like that. We've thought about doing things more with like junior guard programs to help them with the educational piece. And so, yeah, that's a learning thing for us as we go. But I think there's always ways to not only improve the platform, but improve the outreach to the community. And so I think it's a great idea. But yeah, in terms of trying to head in that direction, it's like I said, it's hard to get people to, like you mentioned, to go scan a QR code necessarily or go to a website before. It really is. Trying to get creative with it is definitely something of its own.
Yeah. And you guys have already done so much to bring that as an accessible feature to not just getting the public to do stuff, get lifeguards to do stuff too. Like, let's be honest, it is hard. And we've got other stuff we're tasked with doing all day too.
Totally.
So it's already working, but yeah, that was my thought. Or, hey, I'm sitting tower whatever at this beach and I've just like told 30 people about this rip current. Hey, supervisor comes by, grabs Watchtower with the iPad and goes, hey, let's record a quick safety video. Hey guys, welcome to Tower 4. This spot right here has been a massive rip current. Okay, if you don't know what a rip current is, here's what it is. And see this area where this right next to my tower? Boom, don't swim there. Anyone that walks this tower, please go over there. Boom. Now you upload it to Watchtower. They scan the QR code and they get the message if they scan the Tower 4 QR code. They scan the Tower 5 QR code. Well, they just updated a message there that they could do. So now it saves you, when it's 4th of July at Huntington, you know how it is.
It's chaos.
Thousands and thousands of people. And I got a photo from the air, from the helicopter, where just the line of cones that the guards set up is the only strip of sand.
Yeah, it's a fun day to work.
And the turnarounds. But my point is how do we integrate? Lifeguards have notoriously been bad at integrating with technology and having the most up-to-date thing. And this to me seems like one of the like premier sources of that right now where we exist, where it saves time. It makes an immediate feedback to the public, safety messages, and it's alleviating lifeguards from being task saturated or overloaded when they have other stuff to focus on.
Yeah.
And so even just expanding that, like, hey, we just recorded this safety message. So the safety I would have said 80 times that day or 200 times that day. Hey, I'm super busy right now. You guys check out the safety message. I just scanned the back of my tower. Check out this. Everyone's got their phone at the beach, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can also record data of the public that's coming and scanning those messages. And now you're getting even more. And maybe that's a data set that the agency can see for themselves. Like, hey, why are there 800 people from Iowa always at Tower 7, right? Or whatever, I don't know, whatever aspect of that it is that could be on that tertiary level that we spoke about of data going to maybe the public entities, or I don't know how it works on the back end with data and privacy and all that stuff. That has to be a whole different conversation in and of itself. But
the city or the lifeguards / city, whoever wants to see it, the decision makers, we actually are able to see how many clicks we're getting. So whether that be to the website or through QR codes. Now each agency with a safe beach day can visualize that and say, hey, wow, over time, we're getting, 20,000 people to visit this page, or we got this many scans on this day. So yeah, it's a piece in progress for sure. But like you said, that it kind of goes on to the point of attendance, and how many people are actually at the beach. That's always been a very difficult thing, or difficult number to attain, for these agencies. But attendance has been a huge piece, and that's still something we continue to work on our end to try and help agencies get a really accurate number. I mean, you might have 1 million people at your beach that summer, but to the agency, to the city, it's pretty important to know who's coming to the city, when are they coming to the city, why are they coming here, do they have a good experience here, and so that number itself has been very difficult to get, because you can go out and I can go look when there's maybe 1,000 people right around me, but if I put 1,000, this person's maybe overlapping with my number, and then you're off by a few thousand today, or some of the big agencies you're off by a few 100,000.
And that's how we used to do it, right? Was, hey, how many public contacts do you think you had, or how many people do you think were by your tower today? I don't know. My brain's fried from all day. Like just 2,000.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
Right. Then that's how it used to be, and might still be in some places. So how do you objectively quantify that? And if you're able to show the city council, hey, Huntington Beach Pier received, as an example, a quantifiable, verifiable number of visitors. Hey, how about a second lifeguard to get staffed there, right? Or like it gives you more ground to stand on with objective data sets than this like, well, the lifeguard said this, or that, exactly how you were saying.
Yeah, there's technology out there that we've been experimenting with that is able to help these teams basically put a map around their beach, or if it's a state park, around the state park, that helps gather that information more accurately. And it's pretty savvy. And so we've basically taken that software and integrated it onto the platform, so that people can see, or the teams can see, hey, we had, down to this number of people in our given area, based on something software
that goes off of phones or something.
Phones is one way to do it. And then in the future, they're looking at maybe doing cameras or something like that. And that's a big, right, like you mentioned, a privacy thing too. They're both privacy things, but that's definitely a work in progress right now. So the cameras is an option. There's companies that do camera software. So, okay, is it cost effective? Will the city allow this? The privacy on that end, as well as the other side of it, where you can just maybe get clicks of the phone or something like that, or you have someone just tabulating it, or someone coming into a parking lot. But yeah, so we're exploring those avenues, and to see what's best, or what the best fit is for agencies. But that's something that we've been working on as well for a while.
Cool. Yeah. And I just think there's so much more room. I mean, you guys have the foundation right now, I feel like, for something that can really bridge into a really new wave of modernizing lifeguarding, right? And if you guys able to, I mean, I guess this is maybe, and I know you're not doing all the software and stuff, but are you guys able to integrate, and how easily are you able to integrate other softwares to combine with Watchtower? And what does that look like? Like making contracts with other people, or like, there seems like there could be a lot of stuff that can kind of tack on as add-ons to Watchtower that cross references some of this data. Like I know Surfline's starting to use AI for forecasting, or for just the cameras are picking up and you got all these data sets now, because the cameras are always on the ocean. It goes, hey, this is what, and we all know, we always joke about Surfline too, right? Like, oh, it's 3 to 4 and firing, like, no, it's flat, or whatever it is. And they're trying to make these objective things off data buoys, and I think they're integrating stuff with that. Where do you see Watchtower fitting in with maybe implementing some of that, like with these other softwares and platforms, to really get objective lifeguard data kind of out there? And also not just that, but to avoid us making mistakes as lifeguards, like, oh, the surf's 2 to 3, or I have 10,000 people on my beach, where I might just be guessing, or my own subjective view. If you can talk about that a little bit, maybe.
We are definitely exploring everything that you just mentioned there. And so there are other software companies that we are exploring or working with, or maybe trying to implement. to kind of get a step ahead or to really just be up with the times, because that looks like the way things are going. But yeah, so from a software standpoint, we want to continue to progress ourselves and be up with stay up with the needs of the lifeguards, because as more people come to the beach or as there's new technology out there, there are always going to be better ways to do things as things progress. And so we are doing our best to explore other softwares.
Cool.
To look at some of those exact things you just said, and hopefully in the near future we'll have some more options for teams to use different types of softwares through Watchtower to do that sort of stuff. So
yeah,
that's kind of all I'm allowed to say.
Sure, no, of course, and I don't want to push any boundaries with that.
No problem. It's a great question.
I think you guys are right on the cutting edge of something that can slip in, and this stuff is changing every day, right? Like the stuff that's getting updated and new stuff.
Yeah.
In a place where it's traditionally been lacking in getting objective data out of. So it's like a pretty big thing to take on, but if done correctly, and I feel like we're right on this brink in the lifeguard world, but also the technology world, where it's starting to be able to encapsulate that a little better. And for what reason? Get it safer to the public, get the information out faster, show what we actually do, which is the whole point of why I'm doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then show to people like what that profession actually does and they can understand. Then that relates to justifying budgets. It relates to justifying staffing, knowing when and how to adjust staffing and all stuff. It's never going to be perfect, but it's a step towards really pinpointing it as best we can in an environment that's traditionally difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Follow-up question to that. If you didn't have privacy concerns, if you didn't have budget concerns, if you didn't have, hey, we want this thing specifically, where would you and maybe your team as well see Watchtower if there was no budget constraints, no bandwidth constraints, and it was like, this is what we envision as the like best version of this product?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we do have like some sort of drone flying in and just doing all the work for it. I'm just kidding.
Right.
Yeah. That seems like where it's going is like everything's going to be so like automated and advanced here pretty soon. Like you said, it feels like we're on a brink of something like that. So coupling a lot of different things, and still the needs of the lifeguards, because we'll probably always have lifeguards, right? It seems like we'll always need lifeguards. It's such a dynamic job and dynamic environment we work in. But yeah, to have the ability to, with still doing things the right way, with keeping people's, interests, the lifeguards' interests and the interests of the public, like in mind. Yeah, having this sort of new wave of technology be a part of the platform for us. So yeah, being able to predict things before they happen is kind of like the next step. That would be like really cool for lifeguards to not only be reactionary, but be fully preventative, right? Or make things work before they actually happen. So that would be, I'd say, the direction that we'd like to head in, and would be ideal if there was no parameters to be fully able to. Like you said, there's always going to be a human factor, and can we fully ever trust technology? I don't know. Maybe not. That's up for teams to decide. But I think while we're still lifeguarding, to have something like that to make decisions, and to maybe click a button and say, hey, for this next month, we have this sort of weather coming in, this sort of waves. We know that based on our historical trends that we could look on the platform, that it recommends and gives us some sort of rating for like, hey, this week, let's upstaff Tower 22 and 24 and 26, because we know that the sandbars and the rescues sort of increase on that day based on inland temperature, wave height. And so taking all those things and just clicking a button saying, okay, it's recommending this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now,
and the budget and the council member can also have that info.
Sure.
Go, oh yeah, every 4 years when the El Nino comes, whatever it is, right? We've known this pattern that our budget has increased this amount or whatever it is because of this reason. Oh, but guess what? Our incidents at the beach, the drowning incidents have decreased, or this has okay, we're seeing objective stuff that's improving the whole full circle, right? Like
yes.
Not just the community, but also the operation, lifeguard wise.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just thought of a question while you're talking about that historical trends. If people get Watchtower, are they able to go and backlog data from before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll take their data and we'll do a little work on our end, and we'll submit that information through our platform.
But like, I mean, I show up with a stack of papers from like since like 19 whatever, and can bring it to you guys, and you can input all those things in.
Yeah, papers is going to be a little bit more difficult, but like Excel, for example, we'll have people say,
"Hey, it works."
Yeah, I got 30 years of Excel spreadsheets, and we'll do some work on our end, and we'll get that stuff submitted, and that helps with them and them doing their end of year reports. We have a pretty awesome feature. We do custom end of year reports, like a 100-page report for you and your team to look at the end of the year. But yeah, so we can take that information and submit it to the platform.
And I think that's something that if people aren't using Watchtower, and I'm just thinking about it, even that in and of itself, even if it wasn't the best data sets that you've had or whatever you were using before, get that in there, right? Get it to an Excel, pay someone for like a few weeks to go through all your stuff, put it into an Excel form, put it in there. So now you're kind of making up for lost time in a way, right? By using Watchtower.
Yeah.
If you can implement all that, however it looks like on the software side or hardware side, even on the back end. But man, even just that alone is a reason why. And once again, I don't work for you guys. I don't care. I'm not like trying to preach on anything, but just if that's a possibility, that seems like a no-brainer to be able to backtrack and show everything you've done as an agency and fulfill that going, oh, okay. Then if the next update comes, well, now we can predict stuff based off that. You already have that stuff in there. Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And a lot of the agencies, again, not all of them, but are part of some sort of governing body like the USLA, where they have had to turn this stuff in at the end of the year. And that's been that's not something you want to necessarily spend your time on, because like I said, it's been hard to gather that data. It took time to do it. And so, but that is part of it, is submitting that information. But now we kind of cut all those steps down. But yeah, it's definitely something we can try and encourage people to do. And that is always super helpful when people ask that question, and we can take that information and just kind of do some work for them on our side to make their life a little bit easier. But yes, that's something we can do and do to this day. So that's been cool.
No, awesome. And I can't wait to see where it all goes. Because like I said, it feels like we're on the brink of it. It feels like there's only room for improvement. And lifeguarding has been this more or less untapped, unstandardized world. And once we can show that objectively to people, right? Some people speak in numbers, some people speak in like seeing the video of that gnarly one rescue or something crazy, but you need all those parameters to really educate the people. And that's the purpose of the project and everything, is like, if the thing works, use that. We have to uplift that whole profession as a whole. And if this is one of those things, then do it, right? Because yeah, you want to talk about increasing the budget. You want to talk about increasing staffing. You want to talk about these things. You can't, we gotta wake up and be in the modern day and age. And it seems to me that this platform is one of those things that's pretty premier as far as ability to maximize that right now with room for growth.
Yes. Yeah, we'll continue to grow. That's been really awesome to see the progression from 2018 until now. And I can't say enough about obviously our team and Will and Trevor and the rest of the team that are working on it so hard every single day. They really work their butts off, because these guys care, and all the people I work with really care about first responders and lifeguards. Like, they're passionate about this. Like, they don't necessarily have to be doing this. They chose this. And so it's really an honor for me to work with all the people I work with to try and make the people around them better. And I would hope that that's something we can assist with, because I am, and we are all passionate about the profession and life saving. And so it's not a job. It's a blast to get to go travel around and learn and meet people and get their input and advice. And that, seriously, the platform from where it is until it is now has been because of the input of every single lifeguard across the country, which has been so cool. I mean, it is a lifeguard project. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
And you shedding light on the lifeguard world is incredible as well. And so, we're really just happy to be here and continue to grow. And I can't say enough about the team that I work with. You're all truly, truly incredible guys and girls. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome. But yeah, like you mentioned, we just, as the lifeguard world progresses, and we've only been around 6 years, so not a super long time. We would hope that if there's another few years or 6 years, to see where we're at, it's going to be pretty cool. And we keep progressing and listening to the needs of those who are working with, and going out there every day, risking their lives. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah. And you understand it. You work as a firefighter, you work in the field, you're still doing this on the side out of the love for it. And that's speaks volumes for understanding that side of it. You have to understand where your clients are coming from, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing of same with the project too. Like, even as a photographer or doing video stuff or sharing those stories, I have to understand what they're going through in order to be able to showcase that. And for something like this, that's so much more complex, software, programs, spreading that out, right? And the unique, diverse areas. It's just good on you guys for having that. And I can vouch for, every time I'm introducing the project to a new agency, much like you guys have, you've got to deal with the red tape first, right? You got to deal with that chief or that whoever representative there that's up in admin to say, we're going to pay for this, or are we going to do whatever it entails? Who's this guy taking photos of our agency, or what's this program that they want to spend money on?
Right.
That red tape is the initial barrier, but then once they see what it is and they go onto it, everything that I've heard about Watchtower from those people they're going, yeah, man. And then we started using it and it was like, we had no idea. Right.
Yeah.
And like, hey, this was great. And then check this out. Right. And so,
yeah.
And I've also heard that you guys have been really good at adapting to each agency and going, okay, we can work with that. Maybe we don't have the answer straight away. Let's do this for you right now. And let's see where this goes, or let's meet with you guys. And so that's something I've heard about, just not like you said about the team, right? It's not just the program, it's not software. The people that are behind it is just as important to keep that going and keep that understanding and that adaptability to make something that's truly great, right?
Yeah.
Top notch.
Yeah.
So.
I love hearing that feedback that you're hearing that from other people. That makes me very happy. I've always talked about, and you're a first responder and you're a lifeguard, you're in this world of giving good customer service. It should just be innate. You shouldn't have to think about it. It just comes down to hopefully just being a kind, and patient human being. And so all the guys I work with, and will answer his phone. And I think you can ask anyone this, he'll answer his phone at 3 a.m. if someone has a problem, right? He will do that. He does that to this day. There's not a day or time that, hopefully you can't reach us, because we're there. And we tell people in our very first demonstration, if you use this for a few months, you test it out, we're going to be here every step of the way. Training, you guys call us, we'll be out here as much as you guys want. Mm-hmm. We just want to make sure that this is benefiting you and not making your job and life harder. If it isn't, don't use it. If it's not benefiting you, don't use it. Don't use the platform. And so we just want people to get the best experience of the platform to ultimately do their job better and focus less on all the operational stuff, right? Because the platform does tons of stuff in the background too, not just the incident submission that we just want to make lifeguards' lives better and get them up to the standard where they deserve to be. And I think that's been really cool to see lifeguards hopefully feel that they're in a place where they should be and have a useful tool that's designed for them.
Yeah. And I think it's very much so. It speaks for itself, and that's why everyone's hopping on, right? Just at the closing here, if someone's listening to this and had no idea and they want to go explore, where can they find out information about Watchtower, and how can they get in contact with you guys to try to start implementing it if they haven't done so yet?
Yeah, our website is www.yourwatchtower.com, all one word, pretty simple. Or Safe Beach Day, but yourwatchtower.com, and on there's a little contact button, and Will or I will answer that. So that's it. It's pretty simple. Or hopefully you go down to a lifeguard tower, and hopefully that beach is easy, and they can just call them up and ask as well. So we encourage everyone to ask around about these guys, ask around about Watchtower, and tell them their experience, and hopefully that's been helpful as well. So just our website, and we'll respond.
And I'll throw a link in on the podcast so it's easy if someone's listening right now in their car or unit or vehicle, whatever.
Outstanding.
Well, maybe don't do it while you're in your
Yeah.
vehicle.
Pull
over
first. Yeah.
Click the link.
Yeah. Killer. Awesome.
But cool, man. Any other questions, thoughts, things I forgot to ask you that you'd like to leave people with, or anything that I haven't kind of thought about yet?
No. Thanks so much for the wonderful questions and for your time and for what you're doing. This is truly incredible. I mean, we were essentially working in different avenues, but to hopefully shine light and make lifeguarding a better thing, a better place and profession. And man, just the best people, right? Like that's what I love so much and miss so much because I'm not there full time anymore.
Sure.
Or part time, but is the best people in the world, right? So no, thank you so much for the interview and the questions, and it's been great to get to know you a little bit. So I'm happy to follow your project as well and continue to see the great things that you're doing.
Cool. Well, you're a part of it now, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah.
So thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time. So
Killer.
it's a good spot for us to end.
All right,
David, there it is.
Thanks so much. Killer. Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Lifeguard Project Podcast and generally in supporting the podcast altogether. As a reminder, if you haven't clicked that link yet to donate $5 for the Ben Carlson Memorial Paddle and sent it to another lifeguard, please do so. It's just a social experiment to see how much impact we can make if everyone pitches in their drop in the bucket. Moving forward, as future projects come up and media and coming together to sign resolutions or whatever it is that we do to advocate for lifeguards, I want to see the impact we can make here first. So once again, please consider donating your morning coffee to the Ben Carlson Foundation. If you've been following along with the Instagram, the YouTube, or the podcast, they're the ones that are helping make this happen. Thanks again, as always, for listening. See you in the next one.